Awesome.
Hey, how goes it? Ken Bozak, here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories. And today I'm accompanied with Anastasia from Ubiquity. This is so awesome. Anastasia, please introduce yourself to the audience. Let them know who you are, how you got into Bitcoin, and what you do now in the industry.
Ooh, okay. Hey guys. So, like you said, my name is Anastasia. I got into the blockchain space through the freedom movement because I'm a huge freedom activist and a voluntarist and an anarchist. So, I look for projects and for information that I can basically share with people to give them hope and to give them kind of possible solutions for our future so that we can move towards a more free society. And last year, when I got into the election cycle, I somehow made my way into the Bitcoin community and have been absolutely in love with it ever since. I think blockchain technology is an amazing option to a solution for the future in so many different industries because decentralization is really the key.
It is decentralize everything.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. So, go ahead.
oh, I just wanted to let everybody know, so we met at a Bitcoin meetup. How, grassroots is that? You know what I mean? We became friends in person at a Bitcoin meetup in Philadelphia. And, next thing you know, you're going from meetup to working in blockchain industry. And you're very active. You do, I talk about shit, but you do the shit that I talk about. You do things. Some of the things that you're involved in are the TX universe and Nexus Earth and stuff. So can we talk a little bit about that? The TX universe?
Yeah, of course. So TX Universe is one of the startups that I just joined. It was actually the first blockchain company that I had the opportunity to be a part of. And basically, we're a group of consultants, anything from technological development to website development, consulting for any kind of ICOs or tokens or projects that you may have that have to do with the blockchain. We do white paper reviews, develop websites, and we also raise platforms through social media marketing and other channels. So we're really excited. We have a couple of different projects that we're working on as well. One of them is called TX Notify, and it's just a very simple instant payment notification system for Bitcoin and eventually other cryptocurrencies as well. That was one of the things that we found the market hasn't created yet, so we wanted to. And we have a lot of other projects coming up. We're just kind of starting right now, finding our clients and starting to help other people develop their blockchain ideas.
I think it's cool that you're doing this because there is such a need for a safe space where people can go to get information. That's why I like the idea of Clout and TX Universe and things like this, because there is incentive for places and companies, organizations, bless you, babe, TX Universe, because people, the incentive, to be honest, is out there. It's if you start something like this, you're not going to just push dishonest information. You have to worry about your reputation. So I really like that. People are going to have platforms they can start going to where they can get honest help that is incentivized to not, maliciously take advantage of the trust that's given to them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We want to be professional. We want to be able to provide the best service that we can to help people navigate this new industry. I mean, it's only been around for less than a decade. So we're really the first movers who are kind of creating this space. And because Bitcoin and blockchain has this philosophical movement behind it, decentralization and separating from the old banking system and, providing trustless environment based on math, we want to follow that vision too, and also provide that sort of trust to people and kind of, give them a little hope in humanity again.
That's what got me into crypto, is the philosophy behind it. It's really all about that for me, the philosophy behind what blockchain technology empowers people. It's exactly what it does. We actually we have the power now to compete with big corporations. That's why I like things. I can't remember the name of the startup now. It was like a music one where you can compete with iTunes. It was really cool. I was talking to Immortal Technique about it. It's things like blockchain technology really is making it so we can compete with them. It's awesome.
Right.
And to speak,
Yeah.
To speak about decentralizing, you know, everything, it's really funny when we talk about using decentralized technology on a centralized internet, you know, and that brings me to Nexus and Nexus Earth. Could you tell people a little bit about how they're decentralizing the internet, or at least their plans for that in the future?
Yeah, of course. So Nexus is actually a pretty old coin. It started, the founder, Colin Cantrell, started in 2014, and his entire idea is to decentralize the internet. And the way that he wants to do that is to put up small cube satellites into space and create this huge network in space that, you know, brings down light fidelity signals down to Earth, and so that anybody can access the internet anywhere at any time. And it's a very plausible project because his dad actually works in the aerospace industry, and he has the networking connections to be able to make something like that happen. And it's a huge community effort. I mean, Nexus Earth is all about having the community help and provide information and provide services and do everything, you know, with the core team. So we just actually, we were doing these pods, and the pod that I was in, we just finished the FAQs for it. So we're going to release a really great comprehensive FAQ for people so that they can really learn how Nexus is going to function. But I think the most important part of the Nexus project is that Colin basically improved on the Bitcoin protocol without taking anything away from Satoshi's vision. So he, you know, believes in that decentralization. He believes in freedom for humanity, and he wants to make that internet up in space eventually free.
Yep, I saw. Yeah, and I'm following a lot of Nexus now. Yeah, it's really interesting. They're using really cool, quantum you know, proof, right? They're already quantum proof in the sense of thinking ahead. You can't necessarily become quantum proof just yet, but you can absolutely become quantum resistant. And that is something that he has been working with in his code, absolutely. It's also scalable. It has 3 different mining channels for improved security. So while Bitcoin has only 1 mining channel and has that problem of maybe one day somebody could get a 51% attack into it, because he's creating this 3rd dimensional chain, that's not even a possibility anymore. And with the quantum resistant code as well, when the quantum computers do come into our technological sphere, we're already going to be prepared for it. I think that the more people get into cryptocurrency and the more the community builds around decentralization of like all things, the money will support things like a decentralized internet, because you can't do so much on a centralized internet. Now, if your ISP provider doesn't want you to deal with a certain exchange, guess what? Now you can't. Or, you know, if certain websites are hosted somewhere, they can be, you know, shut down by a certain government. So we need a decentralized internet to do the things that we want to do. So the system that's in place can't, you know, hinder our evolutionary states in this financial revolution. Yeah. Speaking of, check out...
Or censor us in any way.
Speaking of, I got my Fight the End the Fed shirt on. That was an awesome event.
Very nice.
That's another event we were at together, was the End the Fed event. Berwick was there. He did an awesome rap. There was a lot of stuff popping at that event. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great. And it's great that cryptocurrencies are now kind of combining with the libertarian space. I'm also, you know, helping out as much as I can with the Mises Caucus. And the Mises Caucus is a new libertarian caucus that's part of the Libertarian Party that is bringing basically cryptocurrencies into the sphere and using it to fund eventually candidates for the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
And to really bring those together. And I think that's absolutely awesome. Mike Heiss, who you know, hosted the End the Fed event, is the one who's behind the Mises Caucus as well. So we've got good people on all of these teams.
Yeah, I had Connor on not too long ago from the Better Money Pack talking a little bit about this. It's funny because, again, the philosophy behind decentralization, behind cryptocurrencies, and the Libertarian Party, it all feels like there's like a common gray area where it all just mixes very well and everything starts to click, and it's like, wait, this makes this possible, that makes that possible. We can track this and that, making people, you know, have to basically be honest financially. I like this. People are in the chat wondering when we're going to get to the main topic, and I'm excited to talk about this. So let's talk a little bit about Ubiquity. Can you tell us, you know, what they do and how they achieve this?
Okay, so basically we are offering a simple user experience for securely recording and tracking property with the software that Ubiquity has developed. And this is geared towards the real estate industry and mostly towards the title part of the real estate industry. Our platform is meant to be a parallel to recording and tracking the current legacy system, but then eventually we want our clients to actually move all of their information over to the blockchain. And the solution that we're really trying to come up with, or rather the problem that's there that we're creating the solution for, is that real estate, like property management, is kind of terrible. Titles continuously have the wrong information. You know, they might be lost. They might be destroyed for whatever reason. Sometimes the public record systems, which are, you know, controlled by overworked and underfunded, municipalities and public records systems, really just don't have a cohesive way to manage that information and to be sure that the clients who are taking on and switching ownership all the time have the correct stuff so that they can prove that they actually own their homes. And, you know, eventually cars or airplanes or anything really that has some kind of document that says that you are the owner of some sort of property. So we want to help them kind of navigate through all of that information and put it on the blockchain. So then if anything happens to your title, you lose it, or, you know, your house burns down, God forbid, or something like that, or you're in a flood, then there is a good, clean backup on the blockchain for you. But also so that every time somebody buys a house, they usually have to also buy title insurance when they switch that title over. And if something happens, something's wrong in the title, then those title insurances have to go all the way back into the records of, like, you know, when that house was first built, and try to figure out exactly where that information got misplaced or changed, or just in general, like, not correct. And that costs a lot of money and it's inefficient. So we want to eventually eliminate that so that people can just transfer their ownership without having to worry about that kind of insurance.
See, that's awesome, because I do hear, like, whoa, echo.
Whoa, echo.
Testing. Yeah, I hear an echo. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. Better. All right. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about that because you said, you know, on the blockchain. When you say the blockchain, you mean the blockchain on Bitcoin's blockchain, right?
So Ubiquity is actually blockchain agnostic. We are on the Bitcoin blockchain, but we also support Ethereum, Hyperledger, and multi-chain. Awesome. And we're probably going to open it up eventually if any other blockchains come about that want to use this technology. And we're really gearing our software towards e-recording companies, towards title companies, municipalities, and then any kind of custom clients who want to manage their data securely and efficiently on the blockchain.
You know, the problem is these title insurance companies that you spoke of, they're institutionalized. So now they're going to lobby against anything that's going to put them out of business. It doesn't matter if it's going to make the quality of your life or my life better. It's going to make their profits less. So they will lobby against this until maybe they adopt it. But did Blockbuster adopt, you know, streaming technology in time?
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised. We're already working with a land records bureau in Brazil.
Ooh. Yes, I saw that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So one of the the owner of the real estate registry offices, they contacted us in January of 2017, and they were having issues with their current vendor, and they were like, the vendor was bringing back inaccurate information, the titles weren't loading correctly, et cetera, et cetera. So they really wanted to just replace the system that they were using and use the power of the blockchain technology instead. So these title companies and e-recording companies and municipalities will see the value of this because it will also make their lives easier. And it doesn't necessarily have to replace them because all we're doing is providing the software for them to use. So there's, no crazy conspiracy against them or trying to bring down their industry. It's just we really are trying to provide a better technology than what they have now.
And this one, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just saying this is gonna make switching the ownership of property so much easier that it's it's going to keep things from hitting the junkyard or getting lost, like you were saying. Like, there's people that bought land that just don't care about it, and now it's sitting there with no ownership. Who knows where the paperwork went, and now somebody wants to buy it. Nobody can find out who even owns it. The guy doesn't even care. If it was as easy as going on to Ubiquity.io and saying house for sale, someone buy it. I could send you the title via blockchain private key, send me some crypto. Like, that's the future we're working on. Like, I'm going to be able to buy a car, and somebody's probably going to go on Ubiquity.io and give me the title to the car, and I'll send them crypto, and that's just how it's going to work.
And it'll be really fast, just like Litecoin.
Yeah, well, but yeah, by the time this is all happening, eventually we'll have Lightning Network fully functioning. All these nodes will be up and running. We'll probably have atomic swaps. We're really far out from all this being like very common, I think.
Oh yeah,
I'm not thinking.
I've been working. Yeah, I've been working in the real estate industry for about a year and a half now, and it's definitely a very slow industry. They like to do things the way that they have always done things, and technological advances kind of come in very, very slowly, and people who are in the real estate industry don't necessarily like that kind of change. So it's going to take a while to implement all of these things. But like I said before, we're only not even a decade in. So this is the future of our lives, and also the next generation too. Now,
when I think about technology like this, I think it's easier, like was like Brazil, for an example, of some area in the world that may not have the best use of internet. They're probably still having problem with their record keepings of all ownerships, and they're probably going to adopt something like Ubiquity over something else that's on the internet that isn't blockchain, because they're going to jump over that technology. Instead of a lot of places, they didn't get landlines and house lines, they just got cell phones. And I think Ubiquity might have a bigger appeal in more third world areas where their internet service may not be as great. Their physical record keeping is obviously under par, so something like that would be more appealing. Where do you think maybe the next step, after Brazil, where could we see maybe Ubiquity being utilized?
I mean, really anywhere in Latin America, anywhere where, like you said, that infrastructure is still, a little bit low, and they haven't perfected the infrastructure that's already out there, and now they're seeing a new thing that's already way better. So now they can just jump over to that new thing. So really anywhere. I mean, I would, I'm originally from Russia. I would love to bring the technology to Russia and, help our real estate industry too. That would be great. And then eventually, yeah, we can definitely move into America and Canada and, Europe and places like that. But the whole entire world is open to us. We're one of the first blockchain companies that are handling this, title issue and providing those solutions for the multitude of different clients.
That's all. I'll compare it again to Netflix. Like, Netflix was the first to streaming, Ubiquity's the first to property on the blockchain, and we all see where Netflix went, and I see that for Ubiquity. It's going to be the go-to source for record keeping because you were the first. You put the foundation there, and it's going to be easier to hire the Ubiquity team than to just build one and compete against. And, why compete when you can adopt and do teamwork? You're already working with real estate companies and record keeping. The next step, is probably, you said, Russia. They're very crypto savvy. Very.
Oh, yeah. They're loving it. Well, yeah, we definitely have a lot of coders and programmers in Russia, and the politicians aren't too dumb either. Like, I know Putin has, mentioned the blockchain and actually talks about it and talks about Bitcoin, and some of the banks are getting together and trying to create, government approved cryptocurrencies. Yeah. Of course, we still have that, kind of mentality of oppression from the Soviet Union. It's only been gone for, a little bit over 20 years. But just even that is helping us along, because again, we're also one of those countries that's kind of skipping over the infrastructure that the US and Europe have perfected and moving on to the next big thing. Yes. Which it'll be interesting to see globally how that affects how countries interact with each other.
Speaking of interacting with each other, when you're doing this whole real estate on the blockchain and you're talking to people that just deal with real estate or record keeping, the conversations that must come up. It's like, what is Bitcoin or what is blockchain? I'm sure you're asked all the time. Like, so could you could in your own words explain a little bit Bitcoin and blockchain?
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, the blockchain, you know, is a cryptographic technology that is basically an open and secure ledger for any kind of transaction. It could be a transaction of currencies, which Bitcoin is the currency part of the blockchain, but then it could also be any kind of other data or information. Actually, two of the projects that I'm really liking right now and seeing, you know, which one's going to do better and how they're going to do it differently is one, Civic, and two, Self-Key. And they're addressing the issue of identity and how to protect your documents and your identity on the internet. And in general, like when you're trying to send that kind of information to other companies for whatever reason. We just saw the Equifax breach. And it's obvious that these centralized companies don't care about our privacy. They don't care about our identity. They don't care if anybody's going to steal our identity and use it for their own purpose and scam us. So if we all of a sudden now have the power by using either Civic, the Civic token, or using the Self-Key token, or any of the other ones that might spring up specifically for identity protection, then we will own all of our information and we get to decide which company gets to see our ID or our passports or our bank account information or our credit score. And we get to keep all of that information with our private keys. So that's one of the things that I'm really excited about. It's going to happen in every single industry, that bringing that power back to the people in every aspect of our life, our financials, our medical, even our music and entertainment, everything will be ours again. And I think that's just beautiful because we deserve it. We're amazing human beings and we deserve freedom, and we're supposed to be born free. It's just that this system, the centralized system, has kind of made us forget about it.
I love how you're glowing with passion right now, by the way. And you got Civic fans. I'm actually a fan of Civic as well. Again, the philosophy behind it, and Vinny is behind that, right? I mean, we got some, you know, like, I really love the idea of Civic, and I love that people are putting effort into these things because it's costly, you know, like for people to start company like Ubiquity, that money could have just went into buying Bitcoin and making a shit ton of money. When I see somebody put money into a company that's bettering the blockchain community and the world in a sense, it's almost like a good deed of some sort, because you could have just invested that money into Bitcoin and made a profit. Now you're investing money into something that's still just making Bitcoin better. Like, you're contributing to it, and I love that. Civic is awesome. Ubiquity is awesome. I was just wondering, maybe if you want, you could invite Nathan. If you have the link, you can send it to him. I was just wondering, maybe, like, do you, like, we're talking about real estate. Do you think, like, automotive will turn into using something like Ubiquity, or do you think real estate's really where it's at?
No, I think we can absolutely expand into, you know, into those kind of places. Cars could definitely be something that's next. I mean, obviously right now we do want to focus on real estate. But we're open to any other kind of, you know, title management clients that want to really start using this technology and checking it out, and, you know, just talking to them about it and educating people too. I think education is the key as we explore all of these new possibilities that we have in front of us.
And that's a recap to bring us back to that TX universe thing we were talking about. I saw when I checked them out, they have, like, you know, people that are specifically, you know, not, you know, specifically to certain areas. Like, if you need on-ramping, if you don't know how to set up a wallet, or if you need to learn how to read a white paper and how to, like, you know, like, there's different people that are specific for different things, and it's basically a total on-ramp to Bitcoin and blockchain technology. Nathan, what is up, my man? This is the founder, president, CEO of Ubiquity.io. Hey, say, how goes it?
What's up? I have a sticker over my monitor. I like to stay a little bit anonymous because I always feel like the NSA is watching. So
they probably are, to be honest.
Oh, of course they are. Well, thanks so much for having me on at the last minute there, guys. Appreciate it.
appreciate you stopping by. I would love for you to, let everybody know a little bit about who you are and maybe a little backstory about how you got into Bitcoin and how you started Ubiquity.io.
I love that. Okay, so my background, I have a telecom engineering background. I got into entrepreneurship about 15 years ago. Ran a voice over IP provider, voice over IP,
I love
voice over internet protocol. Yeah, 2009, I actually launched a company with some friends called Link to VoIP, and we were one of the first providers to actually take Bitcoin way back in 2009, 2010, and we did it for voice over IP services as well as web hosting services, and so that's what got me into Bitcoin. Was way back in November of 2009. A buddy of mine was like, install this client, it's a new peer-to-peer technology. It's this crazy currency that was worth nothing back then. And I traded like candy, unfortunately, at the beginning, but
always hold.
It sort of weighed the path. always hold. That's right. Always hold. But, I think in a way, people always say to me, well, gee, if you had just hung on to all your Bitcoin, where would you be? And I'd be on an island or own an island. But in a way, I did help the network in terms of its not just a stored value, but a medium of exchange and helping to secure the initial layer of the network with the miners that kind of came on and with kind of incentivizing the network in the beginning. So I don't regret it.
Yeah, and I'm happy you didn't end up getting an island, because we wouldn't have something like Ubiquity, and who knows if anybody would have taken the time or effort to invest in something like this, and it is much needed. So thank you, and I'm sorry for your financial loss, but for our blockchain gain.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. And I mean, now I'm part of some fantastic startups. I'm part of Ubiquity. I'm also part of another startup called Equibit.
Equibit, yeah.
And we're doing quite well. We have a bunch of clients, and we're pushing forward. Ubiquity was actually interesting. I started that as a project called iNation back in early 2015. And we were going to do passport backup services. We were looking at doing like property registration at the time as well, and a few other things. And my partners urged me at the end of September, when we ended up calling it Ubiquity LLC. We registered our company in Delaware, and it was unfortunate we had to register with the government, but that's the way it goes. And they said, like, choose one thing and do it well. So I chose property, and the rest is kind of history.
It's going to definitely be in the history books when we, go later on down the line. Everything's on the blockchain. I keep trying to tell people, whatever the internet did, blockchain's doing the same thing. It's you're not ready for this. No one's ready for this.
Yeah, exactly. People aren't ready for it. I
was gonna say, so how did Anastasiya and you and all of this like come together? How did this team come together? I'm so curious about the background story.
Well, it's been a few people who joined over the years. Anastasiya joined recently, a few weeks ago. We've been friends for actually about a year now. We were friends last year from Facebook. We met at the End the Fed rally in person, and you're a part of some other projects on the go as well. And Anastasiya's work ethic and understanding of MLSs. Well, you can get into MLSs here, I guess, Anastasiya, if you haven't already. But her customer service focus, as well as soft skills and understanding of the real estate industry, I think was really important for me to recognize. And she, of course, is like-minded when it comes to philosophical views and political views, as well as the love of Bitcoin. So it was the perfect match.
Yeah, her passion is awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited. Yeah, I've only been part of the company for a couple weeks now, but I'm already full in and focused on our future. So it's going to be great.
Like I said, I talk about all the cool things that happen in blockchain, but Anastasiya, you're doing all the cool things that I get to talk about. So this is really cool that I know somebody on the end. And like, I've been friends with Nathan on Facebook for a while too, man. Like, I've been following, and it's funny when you shared the the video, like we're going to be doing a video, I was like, oh, that's that Nathan. I know Nathan. Like I just never put it together. You've been on podcasts and stuff. I'd listened to it, and I've been following you on Facebook, and I never put it all together because it's like, for me, like Facebook it's total like face blindness. I just go by what people post on their wall, really.
Yeah, sure, of course, and it's always nice to kind of put a a name to the face, and in my case, it's sort of a blur to the name because I'm like, my monitor's covered up. But we've made some really big impacts over the last few months, particularly when we went to the National Association of Realtors event. Myself, Marina Resnick, who's a partner, as well as Adriana Mendez. I think she's a friend of yours as well. And we went to this event, and it was like in Chicago, and hundreds of people came to this event, and we were, I think, for the first time, really able to bridge that gap between the real estate industry and the blockchain Bitcoin community. It was unreal.
Do you find that the conversations are too indifferent? Like people care more about Bitcoin and blockchain than they care about, how it could help the real estate market?
Oh, sorry, you kind of cut out there. Could you? So, how it could help what?
I'm sorry. No, like either you or Anastasia, like when you're talking to people about property on the blockchain and keeping title management and all this, do you find yourself talking more about Bitcoin and how it's how is it money rather than the blockchain and how it's record keeping?
Anastasia, do you want to answer that? Not to put you on the spot.
Well, because I know you talk to a lot of people at the Realtors conference, so I feel like you would have the most fresh information on how they actually are reacting to the blockchain. I know you said some of them were like, oh, well, Bitcoin is a scam, but then a lot of them had a very, very positive attitude towards what kind of future it could provide for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It's important to actually mention that although at the National Association of Realtors event that I was in a panel for, we had a lot of people who had no idea what blockchain technology was, let alone Bitcoin. Everybody in the crowd was incredibly receptive. It was the people we spoke about, or I mentioned, who were a little bit skeptical, actually came up to myself and Adriana later on and were like, they walk up to Adriana and they go, do you work for Bitcoin? Kind of skeptical. And I should have said, I'm the CEO of Bitcoin.
Yes. I'm Satoshi. Don't tell nobody.
I'll mention it. But, we've, at the conference, a lot of people sort of got it after we went into the use cases and what we can do, and how you can help with reducing fraud and helping with issues where you have siloed data information in the US, particularly, not so much in Canada, but a lot of places. And when we mentioned here's an example. Like we mentioned one of our use cases. We have one of our advisors who works in the real estate industry. He runs a title company, like 50 in all 50 states. And he mentioned, he had a client he had to go out to in West Virginia. Well, this client in West Virginia was like down a dirt road. He was the recorder of deeds in a small little town, and he was in a trailer. And he was holding all the records for this town in a freaking safe in a trailer. And you got to imagine, like, the problems there, fire, theft, flooding, you name it. And there was no record on the blockchain for that. And when I mentioned that at the conference, people really seemed to understand.
You saw the aha moment.
The aha moment, yeah, there was a few different ones talking about how, look, we're not going to give you another platform to have to log into. We're going to have, and if I'm getting technical, I apologize, like an API that can link right into their systems so that it's in the back end. And these people are all average age, I swear, 65, maybe some of them are a little bit older. And I said, look, we're not here to confuse you or add another platform or add, this like crazy blockchain technology talk. Imagine it's as simple as you turn on your, you open your browser. And if you want to do business, you push the button. And that's how simple I made it. I was like, you're not thinking about the protocols in the back end, the SYN, ACK, and mail, send mail, and all that crap. You're thinking about just what you can accomplish. And so when I put it in those kind of terms, people seem to understand it. I feel like a politician right now. I don't even remember your question.
No, it's it's great. I love when people ramble. It's where we get the real information. Somebody had a good question in the group chat though. They were saying, if you're keeping the property title on the blockchain, who holds the private keys? You, the owner. How's that worked out?
You know, that's actually a really good question, and that's something that we've pointed out in our. We have a British Columbia with our Brazil pilot. I know that you all probably talked about the pilot here in Brazil. To start, we are holding the private keys only because our clients don't understand that. But we'll be setting up, you know, HD multi-sig will allow our clients to be able to hold their own keys at some point in the near future. But right now we're holding the keys, we're holding it multi-sig and with, like, you know, cold storage. And
I think that's smart, yeah, because people shouldn't be, you know, that overexposed. Like you said, they're going to interact with the user interface never really knowing about the backline protocol. Once they get familiar with the user interface, then they can start to really know about the background tools like private keys. And that's what's really important, you know, the ease of use. I just want to use it. You know, I just want my Bitcoin wallet to work. I just want my blockchain application to work. I don't want to go on Facebook and have to learn Java to upload a video. And you know, that's what's really going to turn people off from things. So the easier you make it to use, I feel like the faster it'll get picked up, and then people will care more. Like, you know, Amazon's rumored to be accepting Bitcoin directly. Once every Amazon Prime user has a little Bitcoin wallet in the corner, they're not going to know what it is, but it's going to be there, and then they're going to investigate, and then they'll learn, and then they'll use it. That's how it works.
It'll become almost ubiquitous in their lives, if you will.
Hey, I like wordplay. This guy's after my heart, everybody. Thanks so much, guys. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, just wanted to see if, to wrap things up, after about 30 minutes, people sort of have ADHD and go back to watching My Little Pony. Wanted to see what you guys, one last blurb, as you would, about Ubiquity. Maybe let people know, like, who you're appealing to, and a little bit about why they should, check out ubiquity.io.
Anastasia, ladies first. We got the spot.
Well, I do think that anybody who is in the real estate industry should definitely be checking it out. I work for a broker in Philadelphia, and I think this would be, a great technology eventually to implement, like in our city, for just in general for the title companies, the title insurance companies, and the municipalities that we work with all the time, because that data record keeping can get really hectic and difficult sometimes. So definitely they should check it out and learn more about it. And then, anybody who's really interested in supporting this kind of technology should also look into it and kind of, talk about it to people. And if you know an agent or a real estate friend, or you're just in the process of buying a house and you run into all of these problems, then, share your knowledge.
Yeah, beautifully said. For myself, I would just say, being the first blockchain secure platform for real estate record keeping is our slogan. It's a long one. We're looking, again, like we're looking to work with title companies, title insurance companies, and municipalities throughout the world. We have some pilots going on within the US, which are kind of stealth at the moment. But we're always looking for new relationships and looking for ways to bridge that gap between the blockchain technology world and the real estate world. I think at the end of the day, it's all about the people. And the technology is important, but if we take away the people part, it's dead. Remember, the blockchain technology is just a tool. And if you want to learn more, just go to ubiquity.io. That's ubiquity with a T.io.
And there's links in the description box below. Thank you, Anastasia, Nathan, from ubiquity.io. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, guys. Definitely look in the description box below. Check out ubiquity.io. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button. It looks like this, if you're not familiar. Hit subscribe. Flick that little bell. You'll get a notification. I'm probably going live again very soon. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on my show and talk.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was really fun.
Everyone have a night.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.